Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome to Shazage Plays. Today we are going to be doing our next round where we'll be talking about all of the held items. If you missed it, we went through all of the battle items and we put them all into a tier list, and this is what it ended up looking like. So buckle in though, we are going to be here for a little bit longer with the held items. Of course, there is over double the amount of held items in these, and there's a little bit more to get into with each one of these because of course they involve a lot of stats and talking about things and stuff like that. So there's that. But anyway, let's just get right into it because we're going to be here for a while. Shoutouts to Unite-EV.com who has all this stuff compiled up, and again, there's plenty of other content creators that could probably educate you and spread this out just as much as I can if they have not done so already. But I feel like this is still good to have out there because potentially my audience might be able to reach people that those audiences couldn't. And, extra knowledge out there is never a bad thing. Am I right? So, enough about that. We're going to be here for a little bit, so let's just get right into it with the EOS Cookie. So the EOS Cookie is the first of the stacking items. It gives you a flat HP of 240, which I believe is at level 30, if I remember correctly. All these stat increases will be at level 30 or something like that, and then we have the item increase level. So when you score a goal, your maximum HP is increased for the rest of the match, and you can stack this up to 6 times. Now, there is still some testing to be done, I believe, but as far as I understand it, if you score a goal, then maybe pick up some points and immediately score again, that still counts as a second stack. So still not 100% on that, but all the testing that I have seen, and I haven't heard anything crazy, but you get 200 max HP whenever you get a stack, which is pretty crazy. Not bad. So that's pretty dang cool. So that's just extra HP, extra survivability, and that's pretty nice. So this pairs very well with Pokemon that have very high HP. So not Greninja. So think of maybe Blissey, Crustle, Snorlax, Blastoise. So I think that this item works very well on a character like Crustle or even Snorlax that don't really have that hard of a time scoring because they're going to be running another item that we're going to be talking about here in a little bit, Score Shield. So of course, EOS Cookie, while I don't think that it is amazing and you should be running it on every character or anything like that, I think it's still niche, and it can certainly do very, very well on certain specific characters. Alright, next up we have the Assault Vest. Assault Vest is admittedly one of the items that I have not done really much with, so there is that flat out for me, and I haven't really done too much testing or too much experience with Assault Vest, but I still think it's fine to talk about. So we have an HP increase and a special defensive increase of 270 and 420 respectively, and you gain a shield against special attack damage while out of combat, and has an 8-second cooldown after you leave combat. So keep in mind, whenever you see this after you leave combat, that means anytime you're attacking anything. That includes a wild Pokemon, that includes an opposing Pokemon, that includes an objective, etc. So there is that. So now, while 8 seconds out of combat is never really that good, because if you're not attacking something in 8 seconds, whether it be some random Corphish or Apom, or just an opposing Pokemon, you're probably not doing that great. But yeah, so the special attack shield that you do get is very nice. However, it is something to note that whenever you use your basic attacks or your auto attacks, whatever you want to call them, in this game, you are actually using your physical attacks, your physical attack stats. So this is going to only be effective against abilities, so that is very nice. So think of something like Cramorant using Hurricane or Surf or something like that. That shield is going to be nice for that. But 15% of your HP, it could be kind of niche. Do I want to actually put it into niche category? I don't know. It's probably going to end up in the meh category because 8 seconds out of combat, again, it's not really, you don't really want to be doing that. I could see it potentially on some use with like tanks or something like that. But you know, most tanks, like, they have decent special defense. So like even like somebody like Slowbro, who looks like the lowest special defense of the tanks, maybe it could be useful on him. But you know, everybody else, like, you know, these guys have decent enough special defense. I feel like there's better items, but who knows? Admittedly, like I said, I haven't used Assault Vest too much. So maybe there is some hidden potential to it. Let me know in the comments if you've tried it out yourself. Next up, though, we have Attack Weight. It gives you a flat increase of 18 to your attack stat, and when you score a goal, your attack is raised for the rest of the match, and again, it stacks at 6 stacks. So you have to score 6 times, and each time you score, you get a 12 increase to 12 to your attack, so that's not too bad. So I liked Attack Weight a lot on like characters like Lucario. Of course, we tried it on like Greninja when we were laning with Greninja. I think that's pretty fine. There's plenty of attackers, you know, attackers in this game that could potentially use Attack Weight pretty well. However, I think the new held items have really freaking mix things up a bit, you know. So like some of these attackers, they would much rather have something else. So yeah, while I do think that it is still fine, I don't think I can really call it niche anymore, because it just kind of is outclassed by some of the newer items, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. So I'm going to actually end up putting the Attack Weight into meh. I will put it above the Assault Vest because I have a little bit more freaking experience with it, and I do think it has potential, but it's still kind of meh at this point. Buddy Barrier, though, is next. This is an amazing item. So first off, you get a flat HP of 60, and you grant a shield to you and a nearby ally Pokemon with the lowest HP when using your Unite move, and this shield lasts for 5 seconds, and at level 20 it will be a 40% shield of your max HP, not the HP you have, max HP. That is insane. So like, this is absolutely insane. So not only can it keep you in a fight for longer, but it can also save a teammate potentially on low HP. That is absolutely insane. So we're gonna look at some stats here, and we're just gonna look at the HP stats. So say you have a Blissey, because it just has a nice flat 10,000 HP. So without any other items, not even considering the 1600, so you're going to have to chunk through 4,000 HP of a shield. That is almost an entire Greninja. So you're going to have to chunk through almost an entire extra Greninja to be able to start doing damage to Blissey again. That is just absurd. So like, that is just absolutely absurd. And while I do think that it is one of those items that you could potentially not make level 30, I think that it is worth it to spend one of those super red item enhancers and make it to level 30, because that extra flat HP makes your 40% shield even bigger, and that is really, really cool. So this is personally what I used my third one on. Shout out to my buddy James, who did point that out to me and help me make that decision. I think that this is if you are using it on literally every single character in this game can use this item effectively. There's very few situations where you do not want to have a buddy barrier. So absolutely put this thing to 30, use that super item enhancer, or not, that's fine. But yeah, use it. You can use this on every single character in the game. It is amazing. Choice Specs is up next. This is one of the new items. It gives you that flat increase in 39 to your special attack, and when dealing damage with a move, deal additional damage by a minimum of 60 plus 40% of your special attack stat when it hits. So of course, this, keep in mind, this means moves, so this will be like your abilities. We use this on Ninetales, and we went with her Avalanche plus Blizzard build, and it did do a lot of freaking damage with the abilities. Keep a note though, it does do that extra damage to only one target, so make sure your targeting is on point. It's not going to be good into a crowd, But there's that, and it does have an 8-second cooldown, which isn't that bad because, you know, that kind of coincides with a lot of other cooldowns on your abilities in this game, which is nice. And this, yeah, 40% of your special attack. So let's go ahead and look at the special attackers of this game. Of course, we have Gardevoir at the top. I used it on Ninetales, and I was kind of impressed by it. I think that if you are going the pure damage build with Ninetales, just very, very high special attack, and she does scale pretty well throughout the game. You know, at level 40, she just stays like near the top the entire game, and that's really nice. Could potentially be good on Venusaur, even though I don't really think Venusaur is really that worth it. You know, he doesn't scale super well throughout the game, especially the early game. But who knows? Maybe even like Pikachu could like this if you're trying to go damage with Pikachu. It does do a lot of damage, although, you know, not as much as I thought. As you'd think in that later game. But yeah, Gardevoir though, potentially would like to try that on that, but yeah, I think that it is a very, very good item. I don't think it's quite fantastic, so I will probably end up putting it in niche, because I don't know, there's still plenty of more testing that needs to be done on it with somebody like, say, Ninetales. Is Muscle Band still worth it? Still better than it, because she does still use a lot of her auto attacks. But yeah, who knows? I think that it is still very niche. I think it's a good item. I would probably still put Cookie over it, but it's pretty good, and it's very, very nice on those special attackers, mage type characters that are using their abilities constantly. Alright, next up we got Energy Amplifier. Keep in mind though, apparently Energy Amplifier is bugged. I don't know if the bugs are completely fixed yet, but it didn't actually freaking boost your Unite gauge. It didn't like cooldown reduction in the last patch, so hopefully those bugs have been fixed. But it gives you a Unite gather rate of 6%, which is basically just makes your Unite gauge charge faster, and a cooldown reduction on all of your abilities by plus 4.5%, which is fine, I suppose. After using your Unite move, deal increased damage for a short time. So your attacks after you use your Unite move, like when you have that aura around you, you know, where you can't be stopped and move around and stuff for 4 seconds, you are doing extra damage, which is fine, which is pretty good, I think. That's not too bad. I think that this is useful on some characters. So you can think of, like, I've seen it used pretty well on Gardevoir. I've seen it used on Cramorant. I've even seen it used on, like, Charizard, you know, so that he can get his Unite powered up pretty fast. I think it's okay. It's very niche. It's it's going to end up on the lower end of the niche tier here, I think, because like there's just better items for like almost all of these characters. I do think Cramorant and maybe even Gardevoir can still use it to good effect, because, you know, they get their ults and they want to be using their ults almost as soon as they get them, and they're just very good for team fights as well. So, but there's that. But yeah, that's Energy Amplifier. It's fine, I suppose. If you played those characters, you know, especially like Cramorant, I would say maybe invest into it, as long as the bugs are fixed, though, of course. So if I do find out that the bugs are fixed or something, or not, I'll make sure I leave a pinned comment down below or something. Alright, next up we have Experience Share, and Experience Share is actually excellent for very specific characters. Gives you a HP increase and a speed increase of 240 and 150 respectively, and it increases the Pokemon's passive EXP gain while it has the fewest EXP points on the team. So this is very important to note. You do not have to be the lowest level on the team, you just have to have the least amount of experience on the team. So if you just made it to level 5 and you have like a very high, you know, like a almost level 6 like Greninja, Frogadier or something in your lane, you're still gaining that extra experience, so you're good. You're good. You do not have to be the lowest level, which is something that I hear some people say. So yeah, it's not exactly true. So in addition, when a nearby teammate defeats a wild Pokemon, that teammate gains slightly more experience points, which is really, really nice. So not only does it help you, but it also helps your teammates. So like you'll see this a lot on support characters. So let's just go to Pokemon. So yeah, we can see this on support characters a lot. You see it a lot on Blissey, you see it a lot on Eldegoss. I personally think Mr. Mime and Wigglytuff have better options for theirs, but that's for another time. But you could even you could definitely see it on them. You could also see it on some defenders. I've seen it used on Slowbro and even Snorlax a little bit. That's not too bad. I don't think it's good on Blastoise or Crustle because both of them have very, very, very good options for their item pool. And you know, they want it to be high level anyway, so you know they can get get the best out of themselves. But yeah, so is experience share good? I think it very much is. It is very niche. So it is only going to be useful for very specific characters. But if you play Blissey, if you play Eldegoss, if you even play like Wigglytuff, I think that is very well worth it for you to get your experience share up. I personally don't have it up because I don't play those characters that often. But if you do, if you are a support main, then yeah, get your experience share up. Make sure that your teammates are getting those last hits, because you're getting experience points in the background. Of course, you do still have to make sure that you get you knock out something and attack something to evolve. You know, so keep that in mind. It's not going to make you evolve on your own by just standing around, but it's still excellent for very specific Pokemon. Next up, we have the Float Stone. It gives you a attack increase of 24 and speed increase of 120, and it increases your movement speed by 20% while out of combat. And again, we see that dreaded 8 seconds after leaving combat. So this means 8 seconds after you leave a fight, that's when it will kick in. And remember how I said with the Assault Vest, if you're not doing something for 8 seconds, if you're not punching a Corphish in the face or something for 8 seconds, you're probably not doing that great. You know, I suppose like it's fine if you're dead and you get the 8 second cooldown like that, but you know, honestly, like this doesn't boost your freaking attack speed. It doesn't boost your attack speed, doesn't even give you that big of an attack boost. Yeah, the movement speed is fine, but even 20% really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. You know, so we can look at our stats, and we don't even have speed stats, but like you can test it out yourself. The speed, it really isn't that much. So while unfortunately though, I fell into the trap and I did spend it and I got it all the way up to 20. But yeah, having that stipulation and really just not really being that useful, honestly, for anything else, it kind of just dead weight. So I'm just be like, yeah, sorry, just no. Don't invest into this thing. Don't even, I wouldn't even say invest into it if you have nothing else to invest in. It's not worth it, in my opinion. So there's that. Focus Band, though, here's an item though that is very well worth it. For one, we got a special defense and defense increase of 30 to both. That's not too bad. Always good to have extra defenses. And when dropping to low HP, you recover HP lost each second for 3 seconds. And it has a 90-second cooldown, which is a little long, so we'll make sure that you keep that in mind when your Focus Band procs, and so you can be sure you know when your next Focus Band is going to proc, so you can engage a little bit harder potentially. And if you watched the battle items video, I did mention Potion, and I said, why would you use Potion when you could just run a Focus Band? Because you get 14% of your HP back for 3 seconds. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, which is very, very nice. So yeah, I don't see why you would use Potion when you could just run a Focus Band. This is also another item that you can run on literally every character. I don't think it's worth bringing all the way up to 30, but it is fantastic. This is a fantastic item to use. And like I said, you can use this on every single character in the game and perform just fine with them. So next up, though, we got Leftovers, and it gives you an HP increase of 240 and HP recovery of plus 9%, or plus 9, excuse me, 9%. yeah, like this will be like when you're standing on goal, you'll be able to heal slightly faster or something like that. Recovers health over time while out of combat, and yet again that dreaded 8 seconds after leaving combat. And you really don't actually get that much. You only get a 2% max HP per second increase. And that means that for you to match like a muscle band, you have to not be knocking it. You have to not attack anything for 8 plus 7. That'd be 15 seconds. A quarter of a minute. You have to be not attacking something. You can't touch that quillfish. Why do I keep saying quillfish? You have to not be touching that corefish. You have to be not trying to get farm to match one proc of freaking that, which is insane. Like, it's not like, no, I'm sorry, but that is so not worth it. So yeah, leftovers kind of sucks, and I would honestly say it might be the worst item in the game, but if it wasn't for one ever so small niche use on potentially Blissey. Blissey, I think, is the only character in the game that it might have some use on, because when you're in a team fight, you're not actually fighting. You're not the one actually fighting. You're the one in the middle of the fight, keeping everybody healthy with, soft boils, or giving them shields with safeguard, and giving everybody helping hands. So you can very feasibly say, well, I'm not the one actually attacking. I'm just making sure everybody's doing good. But even then, like, I don't really know. I feel like I'd still want to be having my Blissey at least throwing out a couple auto attacks or something like that. So, yeah, I don't think that it's worth it at all. I will give it the ever so slight edge over the float stone because of that super niche use. But yeah, don't waste your stuff on it. It's not worth it. However, though, we have the Muscle Band, which is insane. So Muscle Band is incredible. You get a flat attack increase by plus 15, and you get an attack speed boost of 7.5%, and you deal additional damage with your basic attacks based on the target's remaining HP. So at level 20, that's 3% extra of their remaining HP, which is incredible. So keep in mind, though, that every freaking Pokemon, when they use their auto attacks, they're actually using their attack stat. So even your special attackers, they're using their attack stat. So this is even good on those characters. So think of a character like Alolan Ninetales that loves using her auto attacks a lot because she is freezing people and stuff like that. Let's just go back to Pokemon. There we go. So yeah, Alolan Ninetales, you could do that. You're using your auto attacks a lot. Pikachu using his auto attacks a lot. That's really good. And even like the physical attackers, you love to see this item. Garchomp, this is almost a necessity. You get all of your offense off of your basic attacks. Cinderace, Greninja, these two characters love this item, and it has that percentage. This is something that's to be very important to mention. Anytime you see a percentage in these stats, that's what you want to see, and that's why you want to be investing this and bringing that bad boy to level 30, because that gives you the max value out of your Muscle Band. This 3% won't change, but that attack speed increase is very, very well worth it, and that is very nice. And yeah, so don't think just because a Pokemon is a special attacker like a Venusaur or something like that, you don't want to run it on it. You still want to have it because you're going to be going for your auto attacks more than you're going to be going for your other stuff. And, that extra speed, that extra damage, it's very, very well worth it. So yeah, Muscle Band, bring that bad boy up to level 30. This was the first item that I brought up to level 30, followed shortly by another one, which we'll be talking about here pretty soon. Alright, next up, though, we have the Razor Claw, I guess a little bit of competition for the Muscle Band, or potentially its best friend, because we get a further attack increase of 1.5 and a small increase to the critical hit rate by plus 2.1. After the Pokemon uses a move, its next basic attack deals a minimum of 20 extra damage, plus 50% of your Pokemon's attack stat as additional damage. That is really, really cool. So very similar to the choice specs, this is going to be very powerful on Pokemon that have a high attack stack. So this is very powerful on something like Talonflame, Zeraora, Absol. These guys have 600 plus attack stats. That's amazing. We used it on Garchomp and I loved it. I felt like it did actually do extra damage and help us shred objectives a lot faster. Also, it's really nice because all these characters right here, they have very good critical hit rates. So I think that this is very, very solid for pretty much any of the physical attackers, especially the ones with good crit rates. So yeah, this is very nice to keep in mind, and something that I think you could definitely now double up on freaking the items within Muscle Band. So like I said, it might seem like competition, but I think it's just its best friend. However, I don't think it's worth bringing it to level 30, but I do think it is fantastic. It's not as good as Muscle Band because I feel like the other limitation, which we didn't talk about quite yet, is while this item is held by a melee Pokemon, this basic attack also slows down the enemies and it has a 2-second cooldown, and that's really cool. So yeah, this is very, very good for characters like Talonflame, Zeraora, Absol, Garchomp, Machamp. All these guys like to stay on top of you. They want to be sticky. They want to punch you in the face, and you can't do that if they get to run away. But that slowdown is so nice. So Razor Claw, amazing item. I invested in this to level 20 before I even saw the math on it, because I read the description and was like, yo, this item has to be good. This item has to be good, you know. But yeah, there's that. Next up, though, we got Rocky Helmet. It gives you a flat HP increase of 240 and an increase to your defense of 42. So that's just kind of like the counterpart, I guess, to your Assault Vest. So that's cool. So after absorbing enough damage, you deal percentage based on your max HP to nearby opponents. So this does affect multiple opponents, which is cool, I suppose. And this has a 2-second cooldown. However, you have to take 10% of your HP to trigger this in a single attack. And that's kind of where it loses me. Everything else up to this point sounds pretty good. You know, 5% of your max HP as a small burst attack, as a burst counter attack, that doesn't seem too bad. But then you have to take 10% in one attack. Unless you have a large level disparity between two characters, you're not doing that too often. Like, you're gonna see something like, you know, sure, like maybe a Greninja can do that with like Surf pretty consistently, but you know, maybe Machamp can do it with Cross Chop or something. I don't know, but like, yeah, like you're just gonna be seeing a lot of auto attacks and a lot of basic attacks, and sure, like Absol can do that in the early game, but just that's one stipulation. Like if this was like when you get to 10% of your match HP dealt, you get that counter attack and it can trigger every 2 seconds, like that'd be cool, I guess. But like, I don't know, like having to take 10% in a single attack to get this to trigger, it's not going to trigger as much as you think, and unfortunately I think that's just why I have to put it into the meh tier. Excuse me. So yeah, I have experimented with it a little bit. I tried it on Crustle for a little while. It was cool, I suppose. But that's another freaking weird thing. Is like you'd think you'd want to use it on a tank that has a lot of HP, but then you're making that 10% even bigger, you know. So you want to be using it on like characters that have like, middle HP, so maybe like something like Garchomp or Charizard or something like that. So like, I don't know, like I feel like this item is just out of place. Like I feel it has a place, but it's just I almost always have like another item more than it, and that's unfortunate. I feel like the potential of it is there. It's just that single attack has to do 10%. That's what kills it for me. Next up, though, we have the Scope Lens. The Scope Lens is incredible. This item is amazing. It's not going to be used on every character, as we'll be talking about here in a little bit, but it gives you that critical hit rate of +6 and critical hit damage of +12%. So both of these percents, remember how I said something about percents when I talked about that muscle band, but it also has an insane passive. The game doesn't tell you this, but this was found out. And so whenever you attack and you get a crit, you do an additional amount of damage. When you just attack, you deal an additional amount of damage equal to 75% of your opponent's attack stat. And this only has a 1-second cooldown. That is insane. So we're going to go back to the stats. We're going to look at characters with high attack stats. So 75% of a Talonflame's attack stat. Extra. That's crazy. You're going to be using this on Absol. Extra damage. Is that ever a bad thing? And now while getting it to level 20 still gives you that 75%, I think you need to be going to level 30 with this bad boy. Make this absolutely one of the items that you bring to level 30, because having those extra percentages on top of this extra 75% is so well worth it. So yeah, Scope Lens is insane. This passive was just found out about I think 2 weeks ago or something like that, which is just crazy. I love it. And you're not going to be using it on every character, of course. Absol is a character that you want to be using it on, obviously. It, gives that boosted crit rate. Garchomp, you could even say. Machamp, you could even say, because, he has attacks that crit. There is other characters, like, say, Crustle. Every attack on Crustle that he uses can crit, but he has a 0% crit rate. So you got to make sure that you have the Scope Lens attached so Crustle can actually crit. Same thing is also true with Wigglytuff, so keep that in mind as well. If you're using those characters, you're wanting to get that extra damage from the critical hits, so you need to make sure that you have that crit rate unlocked with the Scope Lens. But because of those extra percentages and that extra 75% on that passive ability that the game doesn't even tell you about, yeah, you need that Scope Lens up to level 30 if you are ever considering playing any of these characters, because it can even be good on characters that you don't normally think it'd be good on. I'd use it on Greninja. I love it. Use it on Lucario. Love it. I think I've even used it on freaking Blastoise for a short time, and I loved it. You just do so much more damage, and it's so well worth it. Alright, next up we got the bane of my existence and also my favorite item in the game, the Scourge Shield. So not only do you get 450 extra HP, you also get a shield that stops anybody from attempting to stop you while you're scoring. Let's read that again. Shields you while you attempt to score a goal, and this will stop anything that tries to stop you. So anybody coming from the jump pad to jump on top of you, you don't get popped up. Anybody trying to push you off the goal with Snorlax block, or Gardevoir trying to stun you with Moonblast, none of that can stop you. But you do get a 10% of your HP as a freaking shield, which is insane. So yeah, it does have a 6-second cooldown, so keep that in mind. You can't just score, get your score shield broken, and then try to score again. It ain't gonna quite work that good. But yeah, this item is insane. The smaller goals, pretty much anything under 10 points, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that in there. Especially in the early game when people aren't gonna be doing that much damage. Yeah, freaking Score Shield is incredibly hard to stop in the early game, especially on characters that have high HP, and that's why you'll be seeing it on characters like Crustle a lot. And now, also something to note, I don't know if this has actually been fixed. There has been some rumors about it potentially, but Score Shield could double with other shields. So Blissey throwing out her Safeguard plus the Score Shield, that's an extra shield. The big one, of course, is Buddy Barrier. So you pair the Score Shield with Buddy Barrier, you get that extra HP from both items, plus the 40% from Buddy Barrier, plus the 10% of Score Shield. You basically have to eat through half of a character's health to get that, and that to break their Score Shield. And that is why Score Shield goes all the way up here. I do think that it is not as good as Focus Band, so I would level up Focus Band first and then Score Shield. But again, almost practically every character in the game can use this. I've used this on Greninja to excellent effect, and like it's just so good. Like in those end game situations, you know, when you knocked out their team, but you have to score 50 points, but one of them's coming on respawn really fast, but you almost get to that freaking to dunk that 50, and then they jump right on you and you get stopped. Score Shield lets you dunk that 50 because, you know, it's going to take them time after they jump to start attacking you. And that's really, really nice. So nothing can freaking save a game, in my opinion, like Score Shield. But also, nothing can infuriate me more than freaking Score Shield. So while I love it, and it is my favorite item in the game, yeah, it's very, very annoying. I do not think it's worth bringing up to level 30, because, you know, you don't get more shield or anything like that. You just get more max HP. I feel like that's better on the Buddy Barrier because you just get more HP. But, you know, if you bring it up to 30, I wouldn't be mad either. You know, same thing with Focus Band, I suppose. Alright, next up is Shell Bell, and it has an increase to your special attack by 24 and a cooldown reduction on, like, your basic move, you know, like your abilities and stuff by plus 4.5%. Right, so, and then you recover HP when successfully landing a move. So, of course, this means your abilities. The higher your special attack, the more HP is recovered. So, you have 45% of your special attack at level 20 and 75 HP. So, there is that. So, and you have a 10-second cooldown. Yeah, there's that. It's okay. The cooldown reduction, I guess, is nice. However, 4.5% really is not that much, and a slight boost to your special attack. I can't really think of a Pokemon that this is super useful for. Honestly, I feel like, especially now that we have a new special attacking item, I feel like this just falls like so short. I cannot honestly think of a character that would want this. Maybe Ninetales, but you're better off with the Focus Band. Maybe Kramer. Again, same thing. Like, you wouldn't want this on Wigglytuff. You wouldn't want this on, like, Slowbro. Like, it's just so far outclassed. Like, there's no point in this item, in my opinion, and while I don't think it's as bad as these guys, I think I have to put it at the very bottom of that meh tier. Like, it is just so freaking meh. At least Rocky Helmet, Assault Vest, I can think of characters to put this on. But I honestly can't think of a character that would want this item. Like, there's just so many better items. And, like, sure, like, I haven't really been painting it in the best light, and I haven't really even been reading it that well. But yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. And having a 10-second cooldown, like, sure, that coincides with some of your abilities, but that's even longer than, like, the Choice Specs cooldown. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm moving on from this item. Alright, next up we have the special attack specs. The special, very similar to the attack weight and the EOS Cookie. This is one of your stacking items. When you score a goal, your special attack is boosted, and you can stack it up to 6 times. It gives you a flat increase of 24, and when you score, you boost by 16 to your special attack, which is pretty nice. So, unfortunately though, I think that this isn't as good as the special attack, some of the other special attack items. I think Choice Specs and one of the other items we'll be talking about here kind of soon is much better. Yeah, like, special attack is fine. Also, a lot of special attacking characters that would probably want this item, like, think maybe like Gardevoir or something like that, in the early game, which is when you're going to be wanting to score. You do a lot of those small scores. It's really hard for her to score. I suppose I could guess you can see some use on, like, Wigglytuff, but there's just far better items on Wigglytuff. I guess maybe Pikachu. Pikachu doesn't have that hard of a time scoring. You know, he doesn't really have any mobility. So you can't like get in and out very much. But you know, he can kind of score pretty decently, and he has very high special attack. So that's pretty good. So maybe Pikachu, but like that's it. I can really think, and I wouldn't really want to use that on Pikachu. So Eldegoss potentially, but you know, she's a support, and like she's gonna be only really going for like Leaf Tornado half the time anyway, so yeah, not really worth it in my opinion. So yeah, choice specs, I don't think it's as bad as Shell Bell, obviously. I do think it's probably slightly better than Assault Vest, maybe, because like you can make a case for it, you know. You can make a case for using it on Gardevoir. I tried it on Gardevoir, it was fine. You know, you can make a case for it, and if you have a really good lane partner that can get you in there and score some goals, yeah, I can get behind it, I suppose. Maybe Gengar, I don't know, but yeah, there's that. I do think it's the worst of these stacking items, but it's fine. You know, try it out, I guess. Let me know. I've tried it on a few characters. None of them. I'd rather have other items, basically. Alright, next up we have the last of the new items, which is the weakness policy. It gives you a flat HP increase of 210 and a flat attack increase of 115. And then upon taking damage, apply a 3% attack buff for up to 4 seconds. And this stacks up to 4 times, and the duration can be refreshed before it expires. So this is really, really good on characters that want to be going in there and scrapping. So think of your Lucarios, think of your Snorlaxes, thinking of your boy Garchomp. You know, they can take a couple hits and they can dish that right back out. So you're gonna stack those freaking things up pretty fast, because you know, if you're in the middle of a fight, you got auto attacks flying everywhere, you're going to get those 4 attack stacks really fast. So for 4 seconds, a 12% attack increase is actually pretty impressive. And then after that 4 seconds is up, then you can build your stacks up again, which is really, really cool. So I have yet to experiment with this. I really want to use this on Lucario. I think that he is going to be excellent. I think like extreme speed Lucario with this item might be freaking insane, because like you can run in and you can run into a fight with your extreme speed, get punched in the face a couple times, and then just extreme speed all over the place, just doing massive amounts of damage. I feel like that's just so freaking good. So yeah, while I have not seen experimented with it a ton, I do feel confident in putting this into the fantastic category. It is a little bit more niche than I'd say the Razor Claw is, because you want to make sure you're putting it on those characters that are scrapping, like your Lucarios, you know, like your Snorlaxes, like your Garchomps. You don't want to be putting this on characters that don't want to take hits. So you ain't gonna be putting this on Cinderace, Absol, Greninja, whatever. Maybe even Zeraora. Zeraora might be able to do that. You know, he's a little bit more squishy than these guys, but you know, he can still take a couple hits, and you know, he does get the shield from discharge, so that's pretty good. So definitely one that I still have to experiment with, but I see the potential in this, and I think it is super freaking cool. But yeah, there is that. Alright, last item on the list. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for this long-ass video. Like I said, this was going to be much longer than the other one, because we're going into stats and talking a little bit more about numbers. But special attack increased by 39, and you further increase your special attack at level 20. Of course, that's a 7% extra special attack increase. Personally, I think that the choice specs completely outclass this, but I do think that is still pretty niche, and I will pair it just right next to the choice specs, because you can definitely just double up on these guys, just like you're going to see your attackers doubling up on Muscle Band plus Razor Claw. I do think that they're still niche, very much like the choice specs, and I don't think that you're going to see it as much as the choice specs, but if you see the choice specs, there might be a good chance that you're going to see the Wise Glasses paired with them, and you're going to get those double spectacles. So we did try this build with the Lonely Ninetales. I did like it a lot. But other characters that could probably see it on, maybe Gardevoir could make some use out of it. Maybe like Venusaur can make some use out of it. Just any character that has really good special attack and doesn't really need any other items. So I do think that Venusaur has better options, but you never know. But anyway, though, that is all the items. Here's my tier list. The 3 items that I suggest you use your super item enhancers on: definitely Scope Lens, Muscle Band, and probably Buddy Barrier. If you use it on Focus Band or Score Shield, I think that's fine as well. I personally think Buddy Barrier is the best use of that third super item enhancer, but like I said, these 2 are fine choices as well. Maybe even Razor Claw, but I don't think it's really necessary. Weakness Policy is just fine to get to level 20. That's really, really nice. You want to get that extra percentage. Percentages are always really nice to raise in this game. Experience Share, amazing on supports. EOS Cookie, amazing on those characters that can get in there and freaking score extra goals. I don't think it's super viable. I feel like you'd be better off with like a full tank build with like Buddy, Score, and Focus. But EOS Cookie can be definitely thrown in there on those characters that don't mind scoring. Choice Specs and Wise Glasses kind of in the same boat. These 2 can be paired together, very nice. Energy Amp, as long as it's not bugged like it used to be, it's still very niche, but pretty good. Meh items, you got the 2 stacking items here, the attack and special attack specs. I do think attack weight is fine if you still want to run it, but I feel like the addition of the Razor Claw is and even Weakness Policy kind of outclass it on some of these characters. Rocky Helmet's fine. Assault Vest is... these 2 items are fine. Shell Bell, it almost tips into the just no category, but I can maybe see some use for it. But again, you would much rather just have like a Wise Glasses in that slot. I mean, you're not going to go like a full special attack build like you might see with like Scope, Muscle, and Claw. I don't know. And then, of course, the 2 items that need some help. Like, these guys need some help. Like, if you remove that 8-second out of combat for them, that'd be really nice. Personally, I think what you should do is make the 8-second out of combat count only towards opposing Pokemon. So if you're farming or something like that, that doesn't count as quote-unquote combat. I feel like that is very fair to the game, and it can definitely make at least probably leftovers be worth it. Floatstone still might not be worth it because the percentage isn't really enough in my opinion, but I think if you remove that restriction where you call combat anything anytime you're attacking anything, then I think that's good. But yeah, that is the final tier list for all the held items. I guess we could take a peek at these as well. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know down below. What do you think? Is Shell Bell the best item in the game and I'm just sleeping on it? I don't know, probably not, but tell me anyway. So yeah, what did you guys use your super item enhancers? Like I said, these are the 3 items I use it on, and I suggest that you do as well, but you never know. So yeah, let me know your build, your favorite items as well. Like I said, Score Shield is my favorite, as infuriating as that stupid item can be. And keep an eye out for Monday. Like I said before, I'm going to be playing all weekend, trying all the different characters with all the different items, and trying to get as much knowledge as I can and experience as I can. So Monday, I want to make a video where I share with you all my personal personal favorite builds for every character in the game, and I will also be compiling it into a Google Doc and everything, so you can share it around and just refer to it. Now, keep in mind, this will be my personal favorites, and which will not be definitive. This is the best thing. But anyway, that is going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this super long video. I hope it helped some of you figure out what items to invest in the game, and what items are going to be useful for the characters that you like to play. My music is gone, and I will be very soon. But thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, sub, all that fun stuff. I love you all. Deuces.